All right, I'm here in Prague. It's a cold, rainy day. Let me go over this first homework assignment. Maybe I'll do a second one. Maybe I'll just do a lecture. We'll see. But this is chapter 25 and 25. Well, it's chapter 25 in week 10, but shouldn't be hard to find. Let me start this exam. Let's see. Question number one. An increase in a country's capital stock is basically how much money you save, a country does. Relative workforce is known to capital deepening. You have more money saved than basically people in the workforce, and some countries save a lot compared to people working, which is, Japan is a classic example of a country with large capital stock and capital deepening. Does it work out for them? It's another question. Question two, GDP per capita means, of course, per capita per person, right? Let's see if we can find it here yet. Right there. And again, it's a misleading figure. Is GDP per capita make any kind of sense if we just have a few wealthy people and a lot of poor people? It's not a great measurement of how society is working, if you ask me. Nations that borrow from abroad to support current investments will, let's see, Turkey is his situation right now. They have borrowed a lot of money, and now they're having trouble paying it off because they borrowed in US dollars and have to pay back in US dollars and euros, so not in their own currency. So they're better off if these future investments are profitable. But again, the problem is Turkey collects money in their currency, and they want to basically pay off the loans. But if the loans are in dollars, and the Turkish lira is way down this year, then it's very difficult. It's lost a lot of value, and Turkey is scrambling right now with their economy. But it's still more complex than that. But maybe we'll talk about it. We get into international economics. Economic growth is severely impeded in economics. What is why would impede it, though? It's because there's not a clear property rights. And this happens a lot of times in the developing world, where there are not a lot of laws in place, laws that are long-term and stable, where if you get a lot of capital sometimes, collect it as you're doing something right in society and making a lot of profits, sometimes the government will tax your money or take away some of your properties, and it just impedes other people from wanting to again, work hard, if that's the case. Question 5 is the same question, basically. In the absence of clear property rights, right, is very common in developing nations. Again, a lot of people are afraid to put money into Russia right now because some foreign investors have gotten in trouble with the law because they have made a lot of money and run afoul of the government. Question 6. For most firms, the biggest cost of doing business is wages. Yeah, that's true, right? This is the multiple choice question. It's going to be on the final. The largest, basically, part of business cost is labor. If prices are sticky, and again, this is the lecture I'm going to probably give later in the week that will help you on the final, because we're going to be comparing classical economists and a more liberal economist. And a classical economist would say if there's a recession, basically prices will drop, and then eventually people will be able to buy it, right? So if people don't have money and stop buying, basically sellers have to slash their prices until people start buying again. And eventually they'll start buying and it will pick up the economy. But these more liberal economists will point out that prices sometimes don't go down quickly or go up as quickly as they should with supply and demand. So if these prices are sticky, economic activity will not be coordinated efficiently. right? Basically, supply and demand won't quickly go into equilibrium, as we've been talking about in Chapter 3. Stickiness of wages. And again, same thing. Prices are sticky. Wages have been sticky, right? Unemployment is really low. It's been shrinking and shrinking, the unemployment rate. But basically, wages haven't gone up. So it's, let's see, reinforces the stickiness of prices, right? Because again, workers don't have money to buy things. And then again, demand doesn't quickly adjust with supply and demand. Let's see, aggregate demand. Again, aggregate demand is always the total demand of all goods in the services in the economy, right? And let's see, aggregate demand, of course, is a demand question. It's the price and the quantity of a good demanded, right? Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, the price level and quantity of real GDP demanded, because it's looking at the total economy. I almost got caught in my own problems here. An increase in government spending will shift aggregate demand curve to the left. No, that is false. And again, this is what a liberal economist will think. In a recession, you basically want to increase GDP. You want to increase that quantity on the x-axis of our supply and demand curve. So one way of doing it is more government spending, and that shifts that demand curve to the right, and that will increase the quantity and increase the GDP in a recession, is the theory. Question 11. During an economic boom, right? Let's see. Level of employment tends to be high. No, that's not wrong. It's difficult for firms to recruit and retain workers. Yeah, that's the correct one, right? And this is the problem right now with wages, with unemployment really low. A lot of firms are having a hard time getting workers and keeping workers. So instead of increasing wages, which they usually do in the past, nowadays a lot of firms are increasing perks, more vacation time, better health insurance. So maybe what happened in the past doesn't really happen in the present. It's the problem with economics. It's always changing. From 1979 until 2007, labor income for households in the American households became more evenly distributed. No, this is false, right? This is where the great inequality, the income distribution in our country really takes a big leap between the rich and the poor. The rich gets much richer, the middle class stays the same or goes down a little bit. Before the 1970s, income inequality was not a big problem in this country. It is now. Question 13. Which of the following explains the impact of technological advances on the wages gap between the less skilled workers and highly skilled workers, right? So again, with new technology, our high skilled workers are in demand compared to the low skilled workers. So basically, advances in technology have increased the demand for higher education degrees, which is true in this first one, and widened the wage gap between the two groups. Yeah, that is the answer, right? The other ones, advances in technology increase the productivity of less skilled workers. No, because a lot of times less skilled workers are put out of work with technology. Advancing technology increases demand for less skilled workers. No, that's not true either. Because again, you need high skilled workers to work in highly automated environments. So let's see if I got all these right. Hopefully, I don't feel like doing it again. Only 8 minutes. I whipped through this thing. Okay, and let's see. Did I get them all right? Yeah, I got them all right. So follow along with this. Should be fairly easy. I'll do another lecture this week, probably about the essay question on the final, talking about those more conservative economists. People call them a classical economist and a more liberal economist. So Have a nice day. Let's see if I can turn this thing off. I forget sometimes. Yep.